Hello everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to class. We are still in the cybersecurity analysis course series, and today we are looking at MySQL. So in the last class we were able to define what SQL is and the SQL database really. Understanding basically that SQL is a structured query language that helps to manage a database, to retrieve information, to access it, to be able to edit information, modify, and it's so interesting that you can be able to relate one database to another database. So it's very important that companies, organizations have their information in a structured way. So there are different structured query languages. We have SQL, MySQL is the most popular. Then we have Project SQL, we have SQLite, we have Oracle, we have different types. But today we are looking at MySQL, which is the most popular, free and open source. On Linux, we'll be using MySQL on Linux on our Linux machine, and then this is the virtual machine given to us by Google. So we'll be working on it. Now we want to do the installation and configuration. Follow me, get up your laptops and your tabs. Let's do this together. The first thing we do here is to go with the update. You know how we do it. Sudo super user do apt then update. So I believe she must follow other courses done on this. So this is the updating, and it's always good to start by updating the package. The apt update package helps to ensure that you have the latest information about any available packages. We've talked about packages, we've talked about the packages, we've talked about apt, the package installer, and all of that. So with this one now, you have been able to update the packages. Let's now start by installing MySQL. You still use the same word sudo because you want to have administrative right to run it. Sudo del apt for the package manager, leave a space, install, leave a space, then write MySQL hyphen server, right? We can run it like this, but I like to put hyphen y. The essence of this y, the y flag is used to automatically say yes, because once you run it, it's going to ask you a question that prompts you yes or no. So I want to just say yes directly without having to answer that. That's why I'm putting this y. So once I do this and press enter, it will keep running. You see that it's running, right? You should run like this on your system also. I check that. So this is 91%. Just wait a little bit. So like we explained, the apt update command is updating the packages. The apt install MySQL server command installs MySQL server package. Then the y flag is to ensure that you say yes, installation process. So it's done. Now we have MySQL. How do we confirm that? So we use sudo service, then MySQL, then status. So this essence, the command uses sudo to run the package. Then service MySQL status asks the system to report the current state of MySQL. Let's do that. So it's saying MySQL is stopped automatically. It's stopped by default. So because we've not started it, then let's start it. To start it, we say sudo service MySQL start. Press enter. Alright, so it ran this for us, which is starting MySQL server MSQL. So with all of these things that run for us, a lot of information, we don't really need most of those things. So let us now see the status again. Sudo leave a space my SQL or sudo write it. It's always good to write it. As I'm saying is service my SQL then status status. Right, good. So with this we can see that yes, it has started, right? It's confirmed. This is the current status. MySQL admin version 8.0 for Linux. So this is a Linux machine, x86-64 copyright. To look at all of the information. Oracle is the one that is the trademark for the MySQL currently. Then threads, questions, queries, open tables, basic information that we need anyway. We'll still use this information, but not now. Now we have successfully installed the MySQL server. Then we have actually successfully started the MySQL server. So how do we access the MySQL shell? That's the next thing now. How do you access the MySQL shell? So to do that, we use sudo. We always use sudo here because we want administrative right to run a package. Sudo, then you say MySQL. So you can run it like this, it will run. But what we want to do is to use U and root. I'm going to explain why we are doing this. So sudo is to run the administrative package. Then MySQL is to be able to access the MySQL shell. Now we want to, because now we've created MySQL, we've installed it on this Linux machine. How do we connect to the MySQL database? How do we connect to the shell? How do we access it? That's why we use sudo MySQL. Then this command is to access the MySQL shell. Then the U and root is to verify that we are connecting to the root user, right? So root is to connect to the root user. The root user is the base user. So that's very important. But generally speaking, there's no need to configure any password because there's no password it's just for testing purposes. So no password there. But in the real case, if you are building your work, you might be required to put in password. So but for now, this is just testing stage, not development stage, so we don't need a password. So this is just to access the root file. So you can see here now that we've been able to connect to the MySQL. You can see MySQL here, MySQL. You can see it here. So it's telling us the same thing. Oracle is a registered trademark, and that for help type help or just root/h. Then to clear the current input statement, just use /c. Okay. So we can start off with MySQL. Can start off very easily because we've been able to connect to the MySQL shell. We've been able to install it and we've been able to configure it and connect to the MySQL shell. So we have the proof here, MySQL. So just to be sure, let's use a very simple MySQL language. Let's say show databases. Now, since you're inside the MySQL, you need to start writing semicolon at the end of your statement. At the end of your statement is proper, and it's also the reason they use capital letters when you work with MySQL is to, it's not space sensitive, but it's just to make the command to be very neat. Because when you are trying to, write your command together with the normal basic table name or basic database name, these capital letters show a very simple way to represent your information. So when you say show databases from here to here, it's actually very simple because it's actually not case sensitive. It doesn't mean if I use small letters, it's not going to work. So enter. You can see that this is the basic database schema. We have database, information schema, MySQL, performance schema, system. So this is it. From here, we can start off by creating our database. We can create our information. We can create our tables. We can create everything we want to create from here. Alright, so the information schema, this is a database that provides access to the database metadata. MySQL here, it's the database that contains information required for MySQL server to run its operation. When performance schema, this database provides a way to inspect internal execution of the server at runtime. Whereas system is the database that contains set of objectives or objects that helps DBAs and developers interpret data. So this is basically a normal way a database is for MySQL. So we've been able to successfully install MySQL, and again we've been able to configure it. But if you want to leave, how do you leave? Use the word exit, EXIT. So this, I have to put my semicolon too and press enter. You can use small letters, you can use capital letters, but we just like to use capital letters for make it beautiful and better. So we say bye, then it returns us back to the cloud shell. You see that? Okay. But one thing that is we know is that we have installed MySQL, because even though you write sudo MySQL, you can see that MySQL is already here. Welcome to the MySQL monitor. Commands end with, can you see? Commands end with semicolon or /g. So we have MySQL already on this. So for this class, we will be able to achieve our goal of installing MySQL, and then in the next class, we'll be able to create a database and be able to start doing some little work with MySQL. So thank you for joining this class, and join me in the next class.